Welcome, everybody. Really glad that you're here for this really rich part of this Upanishad that Bindaji is taking the time to walk us through. For anyone who's new or listening to the replays, the rooms are always here at 8:30 p.m. IST on Wednesday and Friday for the Upanishad classes, and then a more open Advaita discussion on Sundays at the same time when we can ask other questions related to Advaita. So usual format here, the hand raising and the chat will be turned off so that we can pay close attention and focus during Bindaji's talk. And then we'll open those up so that people can come up and discuss things with him as they wish. And pinned above is a version of the associated mantras that Bindaji created for this Upanishad. So I found it very worthwhile to refer to that and see the language that he chooses for translating into English. It has the Sanskrit, the transliteration, and the English, and also for just giving us some benchmarks on where we're at. But without taking any more time, I would also like to welcome you, Prasad, give you a chance to say anything you would like to lead into the class if you wish, and then Bindaji will start the class. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And thank you so much, so much, Bindaji, for doing this for us and with us. Prasad, did you want to speak at all? If not, it's fine. Sometimes Prasad's not in a position to speak right at the start.
Okay. Thank you, Atmisha. Thank you, Prasad, Karin, Venkat, Breck, Srinivas, Asha, and Mango. We'll go ahead with the invocations. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loga Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhasha Gridau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Beda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The Shanti Mantram of the Upanishad, Chapter 2. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunattu Sahavidyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So towards the 8th subsection on the second chapter end is what we are now being discussing. Yaschasayam Purushe Yaschasavo Aditye Sa Ekaha Sa Evam Vit Asman Lokat Pretya Edamannamayam Atmanam Upasangramadi Evam Pranamayam Atmanam Upasangramadi Edam Manomayam Atmanam Upasangramadi Edam Vijnanamayam Atmanam Upasangramadi Edam Anandamayam Atmanam Upasangramadi Tatapyasha Sloko Bhavati. So we completed Asman Lokat Pretya. After or departing from this world, what happens is, what is the meaning of that? So we saw that Evam Shabdasya Prakrita Paramarsha Arthatvad Sahakim Asman Lokat Pretya Drishta Adrishta Vishaya Samudayaha Hi Ayam Lokaha. This world, Ayam Lokaha, mean this world is Samudaya, is a conglomeration or assembly of Vishayas, means objects. What type of objects? Drishta, Adrishta, which is perceivable and which is not perceivable. So from this world means having departed from this world of visible and invisible, or perceivable and non-perceivable, what you call objects. So, tasmat asmat lokat pretya pratyavritya means nirapeksho bhutva. He is not literally or physically leaving this world. What the Upanishad wants us to understand is that nirapeksho bhutva. Apeksha means expectation. Nirapeksho bhutva means without expectation. He is totally detached or dispassionate with the perceivable and imperceivable world. Etam yatha vyakhyatam. Just as it has been described, what are the world which is perceivable and non-perceivable? Annamayam atmanam samkrAmati, vijnanamayam atman, manomaya pranamayam, vijnanamayam, manomayam atmanam, vijnanamayam anandamayam. All these things are called world, or where our interaction is taking place with the objects. So who is the one who is becoming dispassionate or detached from the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya? There is something which is the I in everyone, which is not the mind, nor the ego, but there is that which is described by the Upanishads in very many ways, that it is neither doer nor enjoyer, etc., etc. So a thing which is neither enjoyer nor doer is the only one which can be detached from the perceivable and non-perceivable world of objects. Tadaha abhyantarametam pranamayam sarva annamayastam avibhaktam athevam manomayam vijnanamayam anandamayam atmanam upasamkramati. When it is looking at its own, the 5 sheets in which it is operating, this Atma, or the spirit, or the entity which is there, which is functioning through the body, functioning through the prana, functioning through the mind, functioning through the intellect, functioning through the Anandamaya. All those things it is functioning through. So the one which is functioning is not really functioning. It's a mere presence of which these bodies appear to be functioning, is in activity. Why? That is why it is being atha adrisye anatmye anirupte anilayane abhayam pradishtam vindati. Only when it is adrisye, that one which is not visible either at the gross level in the food sheath or the subtlest most anandamaya sheath, anatmye, without any sharira. It doesn't have a sharira to say that this body belongs to that. So when we are saying the Atma is not specific to one body. Just like last class I explained about the space. The space is not specific to the jar or the inside the jar or anywhere. But we have a transactional way of mentioning that the space inside the jar. Actually speaking, the space inside the jar doesn't, move when the jar is moved. The space remains, the jar moves inside the space. That is the way in which this anatme, one without a physical body or mental body or intellectual body, anirukte, without any definitions of any nature. Nirukta means definitions. Anirukte means without any definitions or any qualifications whatsoever. At least in the case of space, we have said that avakashadata. It is allowing things to occupy it, in it. So there is some sort of an activity which can be the thing, defined for space. But here, the Atma or Brahman is indefinable in that sense. Anilayane, anidam, means there is no dependency for it. See, at least the space has a dependency when we say that it is being perceived in the mind or the intellect or in the awareness, that the space is dependent on the knowledge or awareness that for it to exist. Whereas Brahman or Atman has no such dependency for its own existence. Abhayam. Bhayam means fear. Fear comes from the otherness. So Abhayam, when it is said that the fearlessness is coming because there is nothing other than that. Esa ekaha is the way in which Upanishad has told that. So one who establishes pratishtam vindate, he is the one who is now what is being referred by this Upanishad. So in the last class we said that there is a dialogue between the Sidhanti and the Purvapaksha. Actually, Purvapaksha is not separate from the, in the literal sense that we see that it is the student itself is asking the questions. The question that, actually speaking, all the doubts, the questions, everything is from the Ajnana Samshaya Viparya, which is happening in the mind of the student. That is what itself called the Purvapakshi or the Pratiyogi, or the one who is arguing with the Guru. So what does it say? Tatra etat chintyam. In this, tatra means in this context, this has to be well thought out. What? Ko ayam evam vit. Who is this evam vit, which is the Upanishad that said in the previous section, in the previous mantras, that sa evam vit is mentioned that other pratishtam vindate sa evam vit. So who is this evam vit? Katam va samkrAmati iti. How does he, samkrAmati means pervade, or, it is, the word is actually kramayati is actually speaking, it is fully occupying it. Sam means samyak kramayati, which is, there is no space, it is not where it is not being felt. That type of an occupation is called samkrAmati. It is, I told you, the ink and the water. The ink can pervade the entire water when it is poured into it. Whereas when water is poured into sand, we may say that the water has occupied the sand, but it doesn't go inside the sand. It will be still, the sand will be there separate. So that is not a samkrAmati. SamkrAmati is one which is becoming identification with that. One and the same. So Kadam va samkrAmati, how does this occupation or pervasiveness take place? Kim parasmad atmano anyaha. Is the question, Kim is the question mark. Is the Paramatma and the one who is knowing Paramatma or achieving Paramatma separate? Anyaha. Are they separate? Then only it can be considered, that the one who is not knowing Atma or Brahman is now knowing Brahman or Atma. Sankramana karta pravibhaktaha. That means Sankramana karta, the one who pervades, is separate from the one which is being pervaded. Utasa eva eti is this way. Kim tataha. Yadanyaha syat Shruti Viroda. The student himself is answering this question. Kim tadaha yadanyaha syat Shruti Viroda. If I take it as anya, that is that Paramatma is separate and the one who is knowing Paramatma or Sankramanam, one who is pervading this thing is separate, then Shruti Viroda. What are the Shrutis which is going there? Tatrishva Tadevanu Pravishat. In this Upanishad, we discussed that in detail. Anyo Asau, Anyo Aham Asmi, Nasaveda. If it is separate, Anya, from me, if anything is separate from me, Nasavedaha, I can never know that. I can know only myself. If Paramatma is separate from me, I can never know Paramatma. So that is the Brihadaranya Upanishad. Ekameva Advitiyam in the Chandogya Upanishad. There is only one, and that Eva, that is indeed Advitiyam, without, it's a non-dual one. Tadatvamasi, that is also Chandogya Upanishad. We discussed that in detail. Atasa Eva Anandamayam Atmanam Upasankramati iti Karma Kartrutva Anubhavati. This is where we stopped in the last class. The karma and the karta, the subject and the object has to be separate for any activity. So here the pervading nature of the one who knows Brahman is samkrAmati from Anandamayam, from the Annamayam onwards to Anandamayam. He is pervading everything. So that it has to be separate from that. Karma kartrutva anubhavati. Parasya eva cha samsaritvam para abhavo va. So here samsaritvam and paramatma bhavam. These are the two separate ones which is being discussed here. So parasya eva. So only the Paramatma itself. Is it the one which is becoming the samsari and the Paramatma? Yadi ubhayata prapto doshaha na parihartum shakyate iti. If that is being accepted, ubhayata praptaha doshaha na parihartum shakyate. If that is being accepted, then the defect or the fault in the argument can never be rectified or never be solved. Vyartha chinda. Then the argument and all this thought process, and we are now discussing about the Upanishad itself, is a waste, because Upanishad is talking nonsense in that sense, if we are considering these things as separate. Athaha anyatarasmin pakshe dosha prapti tritiye va pakshe adushte sa eva shastrata idi vyartha eva chinda. Now, let us assume the third aspect of it, tritiya pakshe. There also, the defect, adushte, in that argument in the third way is anyantarasmin pakshe. If that is being considered as there is samsari separate, there is paramartha separate, and the one who is studying the Upanishad and everything is the third one. The one way he is the one who is becoming the samsari when he doesn't have the Brahmajnana, and he is the one when he has the knowledge, he becomes the Paramatma. If this is the thing, then also this is logic is not work. Natu swa avadhrita iti. It is because what happens is that the avadhrita, this conviction which should happen to the one who is listening to the Upanishad, from the Upanishad word, it doesn't happen. Tavad avadaranartatvad arthatvad eva esha chinta. Therefore, all these arguments by the Upanishads Tavad avadarartanatvat artavat iti eva esha chinta. The whole dialogue and discussion is only from the purpose of avadharanam, means firm conviction. Tavad tad avadharanam. What is the avadharanam? Saha avadhrita. He is the one who has to get established in this knowledge what is being told about by the Upanishad. Satyam arthavati chinta. This chinta or this logic in which we are now discussing or we are arguing about it, whether it is futile or whether it is separate, all these things are arthavati chinta, is with purpose. If there has been no purpose, this Upanishad itself was not needed. Why should the Upanishad waste the time of you and me and millions of years, everyone who has been studying the Upanishad and discussing about it, if it had been a futile discussion and it is only, what you call vriddha pralapa means hollow discussions. It is not. That is what the Sidhanti says, the Guru says. Satyam arthavati chinta. There is definitely a purpose for this dialogue and the discussions under the Upanishad. What is that? Shastrartha avadharanartatvad. What is the scripture trying to establish in the one who is doing this dialogue and discussion? Shastra artham. The intended meaning of the scripture. Not the, what you call the literal meaning. The intended meaning of the Shastra. That is the what is called the Shastrartha. Avadharanartatvad. One who gets the meaning of this established as his own, only such a person will become free from the three impediments of ignorance, doubt, and misconception. Otherwise, millions of questions will keep coming again and again, doubts. You will hear something, again your mind will be in propping up some question. These question and answer will never stop until you get established in it. Chintayasi cha tvam natu nirnayasi. You are discussing this about it, but you are not affirming it. See, discussing is one thing. You can keep on discussing it in your entire lifetime. Like a gramophone vinyl record, you can keep playing it again and again. But nothing will happen to it. Same way, you may hear the Shastra, you may chant the Taittareeya Upanishad daily, morning and evening, and the morning, afternoon and evening, but nothing will happen to you. Because natu nirnayasi. You are not doing affirmation of the meanings of the Shastra. Kim na nirnayatavyam iti vedavachanam. Is that vedavachanam, is it that mandatory that in the nirnayatavyam, it has to be affirmed in everything? No. Kadam tarhi bahu pratipakshatvad. Because when you listen to the Shastra, hundreds and millions of doubts which Prasad was telling yesterday, hundreds and millions of doubts should be coming in your mind. Bahu pratipakshatvad. This is what will happen if you don't affirm the Shastra Artha. Ekattva vaditum. He is telling the Guru, You are Ekatvadi, saying that everything is one. Sa Ekaha, everything is one. So what will happen to the Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita, Buddha, Jaina, and all those people? Do you mean to say they are all not correct, or they are all fools, or they are not having any right knowledge? Vedartha Paratvat. They are all taking the Vedartha, means the meaning of the Shastra or the Veda, Upanishad. Paratvat means if they're going out of the meaning. What the meaning of the Veda or the Upanishad is trying to make us know and understand is not what they are getting. Bhavaha hi nanatva vadinaha vedabhahyaha tvat pratikshaha. There are many of the people who are outside the Vedabhahya, outside the Vedas also, like the Jaina, the Buddha, etc. So many of them. The Nanatvavadi, they are all having multiple logics and multiple philosophies which they are throwing at. Tvat pratiksha. They are looking up to you. What is that you're talking differently, which they have not heard till now? You should understand this is a time when Shankaracharya was trying to establish Advaita, and he had all these opponents taking on him, saying that Shastra, the Upanishad has never mentioned about Advaita anywhere. It is your mental concoction that you are talking about Advaita. It has never been. Therefore, the student says, Ataha mama ashanka. This is my doubt, because I am not able to bring to a consensus from all the other philosophies which I am hearing, who are also within the Vedas and outside the Vedas, to come to anywhere I have nowhere I have heard that Advaita is the Shastrartha or the intended meaning of the Upanishad. Na nirnayasi iti. That because you are not affirming that meaning of the intended meaning of the Shastra, you are still evaluating that and keeping all your ignorance, doubt, and misconceptions as the support for questioning that, and you have not applied it to what does that Upanishad say. It has told you that there is only one. That one is the one which is appearing as many. Atmana, Akasha, Sambuddha, Akasha, Vadu, all those statements which the Upanishad has been talking from the beginning, you have forgotten all of them. Now you are wanting to get the meaning of your own, if that is the way. So if you are not going to make an affirmation or a conviction of yourself, what is that the Upanishad has been talking about, you are going to be never fixating that knowledge, and it will not do you any good. Etadeva ma me swastyanam yen माम एक योगिनम अनेक योगी बहु प्रतिपक्षत मा था अदो जेष्यामि सर्वान् आरभे च चिंताम. एतदेव मे, this is exactly what I want. All of them are now accepting me, at least that I am talking about Advaita, which is different from what they have been talking till now. Whether it is Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita, the Sankhya, Buddha, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Jaina, whatever may be that. All of you are accepting that I am an Ekava yogi. I am the yogi who is prescribing that the Upanishad or the Veda Vedartha is about Ekatvam. So Eka Yogi is one who is talking about the Ekatvam. Therefore, Ataha, Jeshyami Sarvan. I can win over all of them without any problem. Arabecha Chintam. Let us start the dialogue. Let us start the discussions. So this, even though it is a paragraph in between, it is to bring to our attention that during his time, Shankaracharya's time, he had all these opponents within himself because his students also had never heard Advaita. You should understand that. Today we have people, we have heard Advaita, we have heard some information, something we have on all those things. But during the Shankaracharya's time, there were no Advaitins. Maybe one few here and there, but not, it was never a popular philosophy accepted by many. Shankaracharya had to establish that. Therefore, this dialogue inserted in between here is only to bring us to wake up from the monologue or the monotony of the discussions which had been going on till now. So that what he is going to talk from now onwards is the crux of this particular second chapter. The culminating paragraph of the 8th section and the 9th section are the what you call crown jewels of the Advaita philosophy. So to wake us up from that what you call slumber, this dialogue was inserted here. So Arabe cha chinta means let us start the discussion. Sa eva tu syad tad bhavasya vivakshatvad tad vijnane na paramatma bhavaha hi atra vivakshitaha brahmavid apnodi paramidi. So let us sa eva tu syad. The opponent is saying, okay, let us do that. So as you wish, let us start the dialogue. Tad vakyasya vivakshitatvad. What is the intended meaning of the Shastra which you are talking about, Vedasya? Tad vijnanena means by knowing or by having acquired the knowledge what is given in this Upanishad. Paramatma bhavaha. It is not Paramatma as something separate. It is the being. Bhava here means being. That beingness in the listener, when he affirms or when he convincingly removes all his doubts, misconceptions and ignorance, he is now fully convinced about it. That state is called the Paramatma Bhavaha. Means being in Brahman. Tad Vijnanena. This is the Vijnana. What is the Atra Vivakshita? The Shastra or the Upanishad is having the intent. The only intent the Upanishad is that the one who is listening to this Upanishad should know the Upanishad is talking about himself. The Upanishad is not talking about an Ishvara which is somewhere else. It is not talking about everything which can be perceived or unperceived in the world, for which you have got sense organs and everything. But what the Upanishad is talking about here is Paramatma Bhavaha, that supreme beingness in the listener, with which Brahmavid apnodi param iti, that statement of the Upanishad in the beginning of the second chapter, Brahmavit apnoti param. Brahmavit, one who knows Brahman. That Vijnanam is the with here. Brahmavit means one who having the Vijnanam of Brahman. Apnoti means pervades, samkrAmati, the same meaning. So, one who is knowing what is Brahman, he is now pervaded with, or he is now knowing that he is Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. That Brahmavit apnoti param, or he pervades the Supreme is not separate from me. That is why the Atmanam, Annamayam Atmana Upasankramadi, Manomayam Atmana Upasankramadi, all those statements are from the Upanishad is not that somebody is going to pervade with different sheets. No. That is not the intent of the Upanishad. The Upanishad is saying that the one who is knowing, who has the knowledge with conviction as what is Brahman and what is the experiences, or what is the nature of one's own self. One who knows that, he indeed becomes or pervades the Supreme. Nahi anyasya anya bhavapatti upapadyete. Nahi anyasya anya bhavapatti upapadyete. Means, what is said is that anyasya anya bhava, one separate thing becoming another, that is anyasya anya bhava. Na utpadyate. It doesn't have, it is not creating something new. The Upanishad is saying very clearly that it is not creating anything new. That no one who knows Brahman is not becoming separate from what he is already. See, here we have to go very, very slowly here, because this is the crux of the whole Upanishad. So I'm not going to rush through this, even if it is going to take some time for explaining that. It has to be understood in such a way, whether you call me I am spoon feeding or not, it's not my this thing to ward off such, complaints that I am too slow or spoon feeding. But the meaning has to shine in each one of you when you are listening to it. So what is said here is, nahi anyasya anya bhavapatti upapadyate. One who is now listening and understanding, he is not going to have another state of beingness by listening to this. The Upanishad is not guaranteeing or not offering or anything like that. It is all our mental makeup. We have expectation that with Brahmajnana, we will achieve certain things. If it is a jnana which is achieved, it is just like getting anything else in this world. What is this Upanishad is going to do here is only to remove this Purvapaksha which is there in our own mind in the form of Ajnana Samshaya Viparya. When that is removed by the explanations and the detailing which is given in the Upanishad, we will know what we are. We are already that. I have been telling this. To know what we are, we need to know what our expectations are not going to achieve. We want Brahmajnana so that people call me Brahmajnani. There is no two horns going to come up for a Brahmajnani. nor is he going to become different from what he is already. He is Brahman right this moment, every one of us. But what happens? We all have hundreds and millions of questions in our mind, which is called the Puravaksha, or the opposing nature. Anything what the Upanishad says, we want to oppose it. Because why? We have expectations that Brahmajnana is something like that, knowing which I will become something different from this. The Upanishad is saying very clearly, Nahi anyasya anyabhavapatti upapadyate. Nothing of that sort is going to happen. Take it for granted. All that is that what we are thinking is our expectations are wrongly placed. Nanu tasya apihi tad bhavapatti anupavarna eva. So there's question. Tasyavi. For one who is listening, tad bhavapatti anupavanna eva. Is it not that happening? That suppose you tell that now you are fat, or you have lost weight. Don't we feel that we get a feeling that we have lost weight or gained weight, or we have become bald, or we have become old, we have become, wrinkled, or anything which is related to our body? Is it not so? Nanu tasyapi tadbhava avapatti nopavanna eva. Is it not? This is the question which the student is asking. Look, technically speaking, you will feel that when somebody looked at me and said, Bindu, you have put on weight, I immediately think, yes, I have put on weight. That bhavavati, that I assume that now I have put on weight. Why? Because I assume I am the body. Therefore, the body putting on weight is I am putting on weight. I have become old because I think I am the body, and the body has become old. Therefore, I am become the old person. That is what here the Shishya is asking. Nanu tasyapi tadbhavavapatti anupapanna eva. So the answer given by Shankaracharya is that, no, it is not like that. Avidya krita anatma heto apohartatvat. All that what the Upanishad is going to do is avidya krita anatma apohartatvat. Avidya kritam. Due to not knowing who we are, or our true nature, our true self, that ignorance, that misconception, or that what you call doubts which we have in our mind, we have created so many imaginative things in ourselves that a Brahmajnani will be like that. If I study the Upanishad and I will become a Brahmajnani, tomorrow onwards people will start calling me, yes, you are a Brahmajnani. They will, they will adorn me, and then they worship me, they will take me, do things, then all those things. This type of imaginations which we are having is what is called the avidya kritam. Anatma. What is Atma is already there. We are Atma only. But what we are not is by avidya kritam, is by the creation of the ignorance. The one word ignorance for all the three forms of it. So I will become a Brahmajnani. If I have to become a Brahmajnani, what comes will also go. If this knowledge has given me a Brahmajnana, which was not there in me, it can be lost also. But when I know Brahman, I am Brahman. At my nature, I was Brahman, and I am always Brahman. Whether I am in this body, not in this body, whether I have memory or I have no memory, whether I am in waking, whether I am in dream, whether I am in deep sleep, or whatever this thing is, that It is always Brahman only. Everything is Brahman only. So, apohartatvad, by eliminating the anatma, which is the non-self, created by the ignorance, is the purpose of the Upanishad. Yahi Brahma Vidyaya Swatma Pratipattihi Upadishyate. Sa avidya kritasya annadi visheshatmanaha atmatvena adhyaropitasya anatmanaha apoharta. He is explaining that, where he said it in the form of a sutra, avidyagrata anatma apohartatvad is a sutra type, like a snippet which he mentioned. Now he is expanding it. Yahi Brahma Vidyaya Swatma Pratipattihi Upadeshyate. Brahma Vidyaya, by Brahma Vidya. Vidya here means knowledge. Brahma Vidya means knowledge about Brahman. Brahman itself is knowledge. So knowledge of the knowledge. Can it happen like that? No. When it is being told that Brahma Vidya, we have to understand that it is talking about ourselves. That is why Swatma Pratipattihi, Swatma Praptihi Upadishyate. When the word Brahma Vidya doesn't mean it is something in the top of a mountain like Himalayas and you have to go and achieve that. And then you will become a Brahmatnyani. Having the Brahma Vidya in your one of your certificates in your hand. And then you will become you will be known as Brahmatnyani by the whole world. If that is your imagination and expectation, nothing of that sort will happen. Swatma Pratipattihi Upadishyate. Swatma, one's own self. Praptihi, knowing. Here the Prapti means attaining or knowing or being of oneself is what the Upadishyate, the Upanishad is teaching us. The Upanishad is not doing anything else. By warding off all that what we can think about as ourselves, by eliminating those thoughts, it is telling that Tadu Tvamasi, you are that. Sa avidya kritasya annadi visheshatmanaha atmatvena adhyaropitasya anatmanaha apoharta. Anatmanaha apoharta. All that non-self or nonsenses what we think about ourselves, that apoharta means by eliminating them, by destroying them. Anatma apoharta. What is that? How is that anatma is happening? Atmatvena adhyaropitasya. Thinking that they are the atma, I am that. I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect. No. I am having bliss all the time. So I am Anandamaya Kosha. So I am bliss in nature all the time, oozing my bliss from all my pores of the body. My words are blissful, my thoughts are blissful, my tears are bliss. All these type of imaginations which we are having in our mind, they are all called anatmatvena adhyaropitam. Adhyaropitam means superimposed. Atmatvena, in the form of Atma. When it is Atma has been adhyaropita, means superimposed on the Atma, as I am the body, the Atma is now superimposed with the body, though we think that we are the body. We think we are the mind because that the Manomaya is adhyaropita or superimposed as the Atma, on Atma as we are the mind. The intellect, the mind, the Anandamaya Kosha, all of them, they become anatmana. Annadi visheshatmanaha. That is starting from the Annamaya onwards, everything. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. All of them are avidyakrita, adhyaropita, atmatvena, anatmanaha. Anatma. So these are all superimposed by our own ignorance that I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect, etc. All of them are avidya kritasya. So the Upadesha of the Upanishad is very simple. What is that it's saying? Brahma Vidyaya Swatma Praptihi. The Brahma Vidya or the knowledge of Brahman is the knowledge of yourself. There is no separate Brahman from yourself. This, when it is getting an affirmation on ourselves, that is the time the Upanishadic word Tattvamasi will become Aham Brahmasmi for us. Until then, the world is real, the objects are real, the names and forms are real, my body is real, I am experiencing, I have everything in the world, waking world is real, everything in the dream world is subtle and not real. The deep sleep is something which is not predictable, so I don't know, I don't want to touch it and discuss it. All those sorts of things which we negate and everything when the Upanishad is talking about it, we are concreting our ignorance to affirm that we are the waker and the waking world enjoyer. The waking world is separate from us and I am the waking world enjoyer. So when Brahma Vidya Swatma Pratipattihi Upadeshyate, when it is being advised by the Upanishad that you are Brahman, Tad Tvamasi, when it is being done, all that it is doing is not that you are not Brahman and now you are becoming Brahman. No. You are removing what you think you are, and when everything is removed, you will know who you are. Adam eva artha avagamyate. So the opponent is not leaving. How are you arriving at this meaning? You are now concocting statements in such a way that you are saying the Upanishad is saying this. How are you arrived at this? Avagamyate. Katham evam arthata avagamyate. This is the intended meaning of the Upanishad. How are you arriving at? We have millions of years people have studied the Upanishad. None of them have spoken in this line which you are talking about it. How are you able to say that this is the right way of knowing a thing? Vidya matra upadeshat. This is the most important aspect. Vidya matra. It is neither not talking about japa, tapa, tantra, mantra, yoga, bhakti, dvaita, vishishtadvaita. Nothing it is talking about. It is talking only about the right knowledge. Vidya here means right knowledge. That knowledge which can eliminate all the anatma apohartha, all the anatma which we are thinking as atma. Whatever which is objectifiable, we are now associating and thinking that I am that. I am a human being, I am a male, I am an old man, I am a young man, I am Indian, I am American, whatever maybe we think that I am, you are not. All the Vidya does is that Vidya Matra Upadeshat. The Vidya is the only one the Upanishad is instructing. It is neither telling you to do any yoga, japa, tantra, mantra. None of them is being discussed in the Upanishads. It is only talking about what is anatma, tat hetu, what is the cause for it, how it is you are thinking anatma as atma, that adhyaropa, why the superimposition is happening, that is the vidya what is being told. It is not talking about what is Brahman or Atman, because it cannot be described. What is not you has to be, when it is removed, the light will shine by itself. It is just like the lamp which was hidden by a basket. When the basket is removed, the lamp doesn't need somebody else to come and say, look at the light now you can see the light, or the light is now being used for lightning or anything like that. All those examples which we cannot have a real example of that type. Because all the time we are that. How can we not who we are? But the moment you stop listening to this Upanishad, end of this session, we are all back to our square one. Running from pillar to post, going from room to room, discussing about consciousness, non-consciousness, everything under the sun which you want to discuss, everything is there. But you don't want to discuss about yourself. Why? Because you are so much habituated to discuss what is the reality which you think is the real problem for you. And because that problem is because you are identifying with what you are not. And therefore, we think that those are important issues which we need to discuss about it. Vidya matra upadeshat. That is the only thing what the Upanishad is doing. That is how I have understood that Katham eva artha. This Upanishad is doing. Vidyayaha cha drishtam karyam avidya nivrittihi. Every activity has got a result. So this Vidya also has got a result. Like any other activity, the knowledge which we are gaining from this Upanishad also has got a result of it. You are saying it is already, you are that. Then there cannot be any result. So Acharya is saying, Shankara is saying that Karyam avidya nivritti. The purpose of the Vidya is not to show who you are. That Upanishad doesn't have to show, because you are already that. So then what does the Upanishad say? Avidya nivritti. All the wrong concepts which we are having to know who we are, that has to be eradicated. Tatcha iha vidyamatra atma praptau sadhanam upadishyate. Tatcha iha. Iha means in this context, or in this Upanishad, or in this Upanishadic aspects. Tatcha. Here, vidyamatra atma praptau. Vidyamatra. Through the knowledge, Atma Praptav, attaining Atma. How to attain Atma? Through knowledge or through Vidya. Sadhanam Upadishyate. There is a methodology that is being described by the Upanishad. Upanishad is not describing or bringing an Atma which is not you to you. It is not generating an Atma Jnani or a Brahma Jnani or anything of that sort. All what that sadhana, what it is doing, the sadhana means the means, which it is telling us is only from that Vidya Matra. Only through knowledge, Atma Prapti, we can know ourselves. Because Anatma is avidyakratam. What we are not is created by the ignorance. And what is the antidote for ignorance? Knowledge. Only knowledge can remove ignorance. no amount of japa, tapa, yoga, all those things will not remove ignorance, because ignorance is not ignorance doesn't have an antidote other than vidya or knowledge. So all these things which is there are not antidote to avidya. So the only antidote to avidya or the ignorance is knowledge. Therefore, vidya matra atma prapta. Through the vidya alone, how we are able to know ourselves, for that sadhanam upatishyate is the means which is being told by the Upanishad. We'll continue this in the next Wednesday. I'll stop it here. Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadidamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyawad.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Binduji. I think it is really important just taking the time so that people and we all have, days in between also to reflect on what you've said. The chat and the hand raising are open. People are welcome to come up to discuss this class. I think, like Binduji said, this is so worth lingering on to really get the points that are made here. But I do know from my own experience, it can be hard to even formulate what to say. So even if it feels difficult, but you would like to try, please come up. Don't worry about that. Before we come up, sorry, I'm in a pondering mode myself, so it's hard to speak. Go ahead and raise your hand if you'd like to come up. I wondered, Prasad, if you're available to say anything, did you want to? And if you can't reply, that's okay. Okay, this is a time where Prasad can usually listen, but he's with his family also, so it can be difficult. Venkat, I'm glad you're coming up. Please go ahead.
Namaste, Venkat. You're muted.
Okay, Binduji, can you hear me, Binduji? Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Binduji, this class now further clarifying, in a way that will take out anything left. That tadruštva tadanu pravishat, having created and entered, that was a reference done, and it talked about shastrata, that anupapatti, is that the one that once who's used this as a reference. It talked about that pravishat as a reference to the one who's sort of contemplating also. We talked about there can't be anything separate from you. The one contemplating is also available within the three-way split, who's listener, listening, process of listening, the three-way, either contemplating, the contemplator, what is getting contemplated, and process of contemplation. This split is recognized in Vidya. So there is no separation per se, just that recognition of this phenomenon is also happening within. That's a way to sort of reconcile everything. And Shastra, the one, without deviating, just follow what has been told, good enough to get a clarity. Is that the summary?
See, you can say that, but exactly that is not what the intended meaning is there. See, the three-way, what you said about the subject, object, and this, or the Upanishad and the listener and the process of listening, in whichever way you take it, the Upanishad is only intended and having a desire to remove the avidya from your point of view. For that, the Upanishad is repeatedly mentioning what you are not. Because what you are will be known to yourself. You don't need somebody else to tell you who you are or what you are. So the intended meaning of the Upanishad is to, even though to show who you are or to know what you are, it is not able to do that. That is why Yado vacho nivartande aprapya manasa saha is the word with which it will start the ninth anuvaka. The next anuvaka will start. Before that, he has to prepare ourselves to be in a position to understand what does it mean when it says that is because the words and the mind are not required to know who we are. No description or no imagination is capable of showing us who we are. We are what we are. But we have to remove what we are not when we have expectations. Even that Brahmajnani, there is nothing called a Brahmajnani. Everybody is at Brahman. What makes a Brahmajnani? He is a Brahmajnani who knows that everyone is Brahman. Not more than that. So when he knows that everyone is Brahman, how can he say that I am a Brahmajnani and I am separate from others? He cannot. That is the reason why we have to understand the Upanishad in its own perspective or in the way in which Acharya is wanting us to understand it. If we don't get it, then we are lost.
Yes, Madhuji. There is an inferiority, superiority contrast is given. That way, it cancels out any variation at all to the phenomenon versus this variation provided to cancel back into the self. So that is well placed, Binduji. This is one. And the second question was that part and the space example, water and the sand example. When you pour water into the sand, not necessarily it covered, that not a good example. The part space, even when you move the part, the space doesn't move, but space provided everything. This two examples, right? The examples provided has this component of material that material that has been projected. It is not separate from oneself, but the samkrAmati is difficult to explain. The pervasiveness of space and pervasiveness of water. These contrasts were given. Any reason this call out? Because the material is again, no separate. There's no separation here. The material projection. Why there is an example of this, covering was so well placed like this with these two examples?
It is mainly because I said no, even these examples are not the right examples at the end. Because the sand, the water permeating the sand, however much it is there, the sand will be still separate from water. Now, even if you look at the water in the ink, the water may be appearing to be pervaded by the ink, but still it is separate. That blueness is not of the water, but it's of ink. We know that. Now, when we come to space, the space and the occupation of the objects inside the space is something which we can imagine. The space is pervading the object and also the inside and outside. But there also we have this problem of two independent things. Space independent from the pot, etc. But even that is a example which is falling short when it comes to Brahman and ourselves. It is not that Brahman, we are pervaded by Brahman. Tatsrishtva tadevana pravishat, even though it is the word used it. The example is at that time which was very clearly mentioned that even the spot of the pot and the pot space is not the example to be used, but that is the closest one which we can think about it. But here is, we are Brahman. It is no question of pervading, because these dialogues are going to come up in the next Wednesday's class. The opponent is not going to leave Shankaracharya easily that way. And he says that, samkrAmati or prapnoti, when you say that, how it is, how did you understand that it is, that Brahma, Brahman is the one and the same, whereas the Upanishad is saying there is a sankramanam or a prapanam in the statement. But you are saying that it is not the way in which we are thinking the space and the objects in the space. So this, how he is answering that, we will learn it in the next coming class.
Sure, Binduji. I think this is clear. The jewels we talked about, the first one, the vidya and avidya, that separation is the understanding. Otherwise, the Brahman never differentiated anything. The one who has the vidya recognizes even avidya and the way it is functioning. This particular shift of recognizing all of this is a broader result of vidya. That bhava, abhava, the Veda bhava, there is no abhava here. That advaita bhava and dvaita bhava, they are the only possibilities here, right, Madhuji? In this case, result is bhava, and also result is even the ignorance is recognized. That's a fair closure on this.
You're muted, Binduji.
The Dvaita Bhava is due to our own ignorance, where we are not able to understand the reality, because our mind is always in the state of projection of imagination and things like that. But whereas when the vidya is removing those avidya krita, anatma apoharta, when it is being negated by the avidya krita, what we are imagining as what we are, when that is being removed, the swaprakasha, that atma will shine by itself. That is what the Acharya is driving us to.
Sure, got it, Binduji. Thank you, Binduji.
Namaste, Srini.
Namaste, Bindaji. Namaste, all. So, Bindaji, one question about this, but I'm not sure it might be answered in the coming classes, but I will ask anyway. So, this whole prakriya of this Panchakosha, like if we think of it like a circuit, right? Like meaning the arohana and avarohana happening. Now this samkrAmati is more like arohana, right? Like the koshas collapsing into Anandamaya kosha. Is that right to say that?
No, even Anandamaya Kosha will be collapsing.
Finally to Brahman. So in this whole, it seems like an impossible loop, right? Because this arohana and avarohana. So is there something like this circuit breaker which is already covered and I missed, or is it? I have a feeling it might come in the next class.
It will come up. It will come up. But what you should understand is that this arohana and avarohana of what you are thinking about from the Annamaya to Akasha Atmana Akasha and all those things up to the what you call Purusha. It came. Now the Purusha, when the Purusha or the individual is now thinking he is the Annamaya, that is due to ignorance. That is the avidyakrata adhyaropa. Due to the ignorance, we are superimposing ourselves to be the physical body. Even though we know we can objectify our physical body, we are unable to de-identify ourselves with the physical body. Now that is where the samkrAmanam or the pervasive or permeability of the nature of Atman or Brahman into all the five sheets which is being referred to, is being brought up by the Upanishad only that when it is said in the beginning as tasmad atmana tasmad atmana akasha sambhuda akashad vayu ragni, all those things prakriya or the formation of the individual. Now the individual, when he is identifying himself with each of the sheets, he operates at that level. As when he is physically identifying with the physical sheath, he is identifying as I am a man or a woman or etc. When it is identifying with the mind pranamaya or mind or vijnanamaya or anandamaya, he is assuming roles that I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that. But when it is being told that it is this vijnana which is samkrAmanam of everything, you are knowing every sheet because you are the awareness through which you are knowing the Atma Annamaya, you are knowing the Manomaya, you are knowing the Vijnanamaya, you are knowing the Ananda. All of them, when it is being told that it is that when it is permeating each one of the operate, you are not becoming that. It is in your knowledge that these things are operating. Anyway, I don't want to go and spoil the description which Shankara will come out in the later parts of this Upanishad. And the next one, which is what you call the ninth Anuvaka, which is very important for us to understand.
Sure. Thank you, Bindaji. I think one more thing on this I wanted to just ask is, I don't know if I heard it somewhere or I was just thinking about it, that actually the avarohana we cannot come to know, right? Like, because we discussed from deep sleep when we are coming into waking. It's like, I think in the beginning classes I asked the same question. We said it is more of in an inferential nature, which is we can't clearly, even if someone I think something we said, like it's not humanly possible to see the avarohana, but arohana is quite possible, right? Meaning one can in contemplation or something. For me, I was thinking that arohana is more in a way real, and avarohana is more like a story built based on the arohana kind of prakriya. Do you think that makes sense? Or
No, it is both Arohana and Avarohana is imagination.
yeah,
There is nothing. Neha nanasti kinchana. There is nothing other than that. So who is the Arohana? Who is the Avarohana?
In the Prakriya point of view. So if we want to take this Prakriya, the more realistic thing is the Arohana, and the Avarohana sounds like a story, is what I was thinking. But yeah, I do understand that eventually because the circuit cannot operate both ways, I think it will it will short circuit itself. But yeah, that's what I was just thinking. But yeah, thanks, Bindu.
Thank you, Srini.
We have a little time left if anyone who's on the panel already would like to speak again, or anyone else has a hand raised. We have about another little bit of time.
If nobody is there, we can close.
Okay, anyone on the panel, last call, and otherwise, thank you so much, everybody. A lot to reflect on. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, please, Prasad. And actually, let me just make a few announcements, and then I'll pass it to you, and then it can go straight to Bindo. Just remember, we have another class on Friday, same time, 8:30 p.m. IST. Remember that if you're wanting, and it's highly recommended, to go to the chat, and right underneath Bindo's welcome, you'll see a document. And if you go to page 301 on its numbering, you'll start into the Taittareeya Upanishad, has English translation of Shankara's commentaries, and those are, I think, very worthwhile to read ahead and see what Bindo is elaborating off of and helps us to clarify. So that's there for you in addition to the mantras up above. And the replays are here and also on the YouTube channel called Advaita Retold. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Binduji, and thank you for being so clear with us today. Prasad, anything you'd like, take all the time you wish.
Hi. No, I was going to say that because this question, samkrAmati, was brought up, and I think a detailed discussion maybe in our question and answer session would be very useful to actually it's very difficult because even the Upanishad says that it says yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasaha. So it says that in expressing that it becomes inexpressible because the mind that is the only instrument that is available to decipher also becomes invalid there. In the sense it cannot reach. That's the language of the Upanishads. But Srinivas used the word collapse. So like this, I believe trying to even use that in language in some way sometimes can bring about a flash of an understanding of what Brahman could be, just even in the imaginative sense, and that could be very useful. I hope we can elaborate sometimes on that. Just wanted to bring that up because I like the question, and when the Upanishads is telling, of course some translations are transcend and all of that, but what happens when the body Sri Ramakrishna uses the word merges. One merges, the body merges in the mind merges in the intelligence merges in the Ananda, and the Ananda merges in the great cause. He just says great cause. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because that was like a good pointer. That's why I just feel in these classes more discussion should be made on the nature of Brahman and the nature of a Jnani and what does Brahmagyana feel like. Of course, today great points were brought out by Acharya also that, if you think that something is going to happen out of it and if you feel that your ego is going to just get another boost from the million other boosts that you've been expecting in existence, then you've got this whole thing wrong. So those are some very important points in understanding the nature of Brahmagyana. Yeah, I just wanted to add all that. Aarti, you can. close.
Thank you, Atmishya. Thank you, Prasad, Venkat, and Srini for the questions. Thank you all for being there. We'll have this Q&A or the open discussions on Sunday, same time. And next Wednesday, we will continue the balance, important aspects of the Upanishad, which is why that those statements from Shankara and the opponent or the student are very important for us also to think in the same directions. So that we should also develop that habit of, inquiry into our own nature. So see you all on Sunday. Hari Om. Namaste.
Good night.